Hey, everybody, it's Scott Steen with winnersandwhiners.com coming to you with the Tuesday edition of Today in Sports Betting. Doing it college style, taking a look. Couple pretty big games tonight, Scotty. We got some conference tournaments starting, but that's not really what we're here to talk about, is it?
No, unless you wanted to. I think I could talk about pretty much any team ad nauseum if I wanted to. But
Oh, I think we all know that by now, Scott.
yeah, but I feel like you probably should if you've been watching the show regularly. But if you're a mainstream basketball fan, you actually have a couple of top 10, hell, top 16 matchups going on tonight.
Yeah. How about that Big 12 little warm up action? Is it a co-headlining game, or would this be the warm up game?
I think it technically has to be the co-headliner because you
Yeah,
have two top 5 teams in the late game,
yeah.
but you have a 6 seed in there. So I guess you can kind of make the argument that Illinois is not going to be at full strength anyway, but we'll get into that later. Either way, really could just enjoy it. Plus, I actually like the start time on it at 5
Mm-hmm.
Eastern, which is early-ish, but not too early. So, you can get nice settled in, watch some conference tournaments maybe earlier in the afternoon, and then kick it to an actual, quality game right there.
We'll be in the middle of a conference call when that game starts. That'll be super.
Yeah, but either way, you could. I don't want to say leave it on the background, but definitely something that I'm definitely going to look forward to watching the second half of.
Absolutely. It's the Baylor Bears in West Virginia, bud. It's West Virginia catching 4.5 at home. 149 is the number right here. Scott, is it over for the Baylor Bears? 2 games. Is it all over? They suck now. They had their COVID
Uh,
layoff. They'll never be the same.
they're not undefeated, so I don't know how they're supposed to win the title now. Because teams are always undefeated when they win the title. No, I don't think it's a big deal at all. At the end of the day, the question that remains for Baylor, which is the huge concern, is how's the chemistry after such a long layoff? This team has played really just infrequently, and I'm putting that very, very, politely, looking at this actual schedule here. Baylor's played 2 games since February 6th.
Mm-hmm.
So that a lot of games canceled. This team, when it's at, I'd say, peak condition or whatever you want to phrase it, no setbacks, no anything. This team is a top 3 team in the country, not even close.
Right.
However, you have seen this team against Iowa State, an awful team, barely won, and then got killed against Kansas on the road. I'm not exactly thrilled with laying points with Baylor here, but having said that, I don't think West Virginia is a top 6 team in the country. So I'm kind of just stuck here. If I had to lean anywhere, I'd lean Baylor because this team is just really, really good. And West Virginia, even though it doesn't run as much of a press as it used to, if there's one thing Baylor still has, it's arguably the best backcourt of the entire country.
Mm-hmm.
So I do think that from a ball handling perspective, they should be able to handle the, I'd say, aggressive nature of a Bob Huggins defense. I'll lean Baylor. Am I thrilled with it? No. But I do think this game will come down to the wire. And I think that you should see a game that actually isn't a little bit on the lower scoring side. So I'm actually going to lean to the under a little bit. I think this is a spot where both teams kind of just know what's at risk right now, especially for tournament seeding. And I think you just see a war on your hands. You have any thoughts?
Yeah, I've got. I did do my play of the day video on this one, but I've got. I don't hate the under. I don't hate the under in this spot. I think this is actually going to come out afterwards. So I've got. I'll tell you. I took Baylor minus the 4 points here.
Okay.
I think this is a team that Kansas was really able to turn up the defensive pressure on them. I don't think West Virginia has that kind of defensive ability. They are many years removed from Huggins masterminding press Virginia. Yeah, they've had some nice numbers. They've given up 43 to K-State. They gave up 66 to TCU, which, by the way, probably shouldn't break your arm patting yourself over on the back over that. TCU is a pretty bad team as well. But they've consistently, even without going into overtime against a couple of teams, they've consistently given up 70 plus to some pretty average to slightly above average offenses, and they're about to get hit by a team that is a lot slightly above average, the best 3-point shooting team in the country. And again, like you said, it's they've got a fine pair of guards. The thing is, Jared Butler has had 5 points last time out against KU. I believe he's going to do a little better than that against West Virginia. I think this is a nice West Virginia team. I think they're
What
top
do you think?
15 team probably.
I was going to say Sweet 16, Elite 8, maybe.
Yeah, maybe Elite 8 if they get the right run. But this Baylor team is elite, so I like Baylor to cover the number there.
Yeah, that's how I feel. I'm assuming you're in agreement about Baylor as a whole and how even though this team lost to Kansas in its last game, and there might be maybe some residual effects from I'd say, lack of consistent playing time for all these players, that this is kind of just a little bump in the road and that this team should be fine anyway.
Yeah, I think they were rusty after the layoff. They had a 3-week layoff there for COVID, 2-week layoff. And,
well, they've had multiple layoffs throughout the course of the year.
But this is the last one is the one that's really made a difference.
Oh no, of course, but I'm saying it's not that often you see a team that not only has one COVID issue but 2 COVID issues, because this team also had a couple of games canceled back in December because of COVID. So,
well, yeah, including the game against Gonzaga, which is the one that we
might be a nice Final Four title game, but we'll see what happens.
Yeah, right. That's absolutely right. So, okay. So then the other game that we alluded to is a game between the 2nd and 4th ranked team in the country. And that is the Illinois Fighting Illini against the Michigan Wolverines. Wolverines are at home minus the 8 points. I do have a premium on this, Scott, so and it is on the side. So I'm going to give you my thoughts on the total. I think this is a 2 pretty good defensive squads here. Michigan has just been playing shutdown defense. I would probably lean towards the under as far as the 145.5 goes. Any thoughts on this game at all?
My thoughts here is that I think Illinois is screwed. Just to be completely honest, I know Illinois has been playing well lately, ended up beating Wisconsin over the weekend, almost fell apart, but still managed to hold on for the win there. At the end of the day, I think Illinois, even with the Sunwoo, would lose to Michigan. Now you're without your best player. I know Coburn is a solid center, but Dickinson's been an absolute monster over the last for the entire season, for the most part in conference play. He's been just an absolute lunatic. But at the end of the day, Michigan is just a team possessed. You go through these results, this team has been just taking care of business, and there's really no sweat at all involved. The one blemish was against Minnesota, but you go through every game since then, this team is just a complete, just top to bottom basketball team that is clicking on all cylinders. And you had to wonder a little bit over the weekend. I know that a lot of Twitter was a big fan of Indiana in the sandwich spot, because you had Michigan who had to go up against Iowa and then Illinois, but you had a road game in the middle. Yeah, Michigan didn't care because Michigan just came through and just smacked them. I didn't agree with that premise anyway, because I just think Indiana's not very good. But either way, I got to assume Michigan kills this team, because I watched Illinois play against Wisconsin, and don't get me wrong, they were up double digits most of the second half. They crumbled down the stretch. They held on to win the game, but that was not an impressive showing, in my opinion. And if you can neutralize Coburn, I really don't trust Illinois' guards that much without the Sunwoo. I think Frazier's pretty good, but I think Michigan's just going to run over this team. So if I had to guess what I think is going to happen, I'd say Michigan by 12.
Okay. All right, very good. Any thoughts on the total?
I'd lean under. With the Sunwoo being out, I do think Michigan's defense should clamp down on Illinois' guards. Coburn, don't get me wrong, good player, but Dickinson is a pretty solid defender, and also Coburn can't shoot free throws. So don't be surprised if you see Michigan basically tackling him on any offensive rebounds, which I think is pretty much the move going forward. I think that's why Illinois is probably going to lose early in the tournament. But I'll lean under. You have seen a decent amount of money to the under already. It has gone from around 147 to 146, even some 145s, 145 and a halves popping up. But I'll go with Michigan, and I'll also lean to the unders. So that's kind of my thoughts on that.
All right, very good. Anything else get your attention today?
Well, I have a play today coming out, which might not really – I don't even know, because I think that the person who uploads these basically at the same time. So stay tuned for that. So I'm not going to spoil that one, but other than that,
it's a Mac attack though. I'll give you that much.
Yeah, it is a Mac attack. But looking at just the card in general. There was one game that I did find pretty interesting. It was on a total. It's going to be between Wright State and Milwaukee. And this total is currently priced at 151. This is going to be the first round of the Horizon League conference tournaments. That's right, it's March time, so get ready for some conference tournaments. But if you look at the actual results of the games played between Milwaukee and Wright State, they played twice this season. It was back-to-back days, but both games ended up landing at you had 173 and 174. Back-to-back days score was 92-81, 92-82. Total in this game, 151. I understand you might want to make the argument, well, it's a conference tournament game. You know, you might be playing better defense. That's true, except for the fact that it's still going to be in Wright State's home court. And you also have to wonder if Milwaukee's going to be tackling people down 15 with 3 minutes to go. Because if they lose this game, the season's over. So if you see conference tournaments, you know that some teams might bother you fouling down 11 with 30 seconds to go. College tournaments are a nightmare when it comes to the end of games because the last 3 minutes might take 45 minutes.
Yeah, and they could put up 25 points.
Never stops, just endless. We're down 12. What do we do? Foul
them.
Never stops. Never stops. So I like the over in that one.
Okay, all right, very good. The Milwaukee just can't play defense, man.
Which is actually kind of rare because Milwaukee has been a pretty slow-paced team in years past. Looking at these recent results from Milwaukee, opponents are just going up and down. Like they can't stop anybody.
Getting shelled. But you know they're kind of getting dragged with the pace too. The teams that they played, and they've averaged 83 and a half over their last 5. So
so assuming Wright State in a meaningful game at home, probably going to score what, like 88 to 90 points.
Got to think 85 to 90 there. Yeah.
So for that reason, I got to assume that the total's a little bit too low.
Yeah, that's I think that's legit. Overs cashed in 4 straight for Wright State. It's cashed in 7 straight, 8 straight for Milwaukee. They just refuse to play defense here lately. So
surprising under money though, but I don't really care.
Don't see it. Yeah, don't see it at all. All right. Very good. I'm trying to think of anything else that
You have any thoughts on some other games? I know some people are.
I don't hate Cleveland State in that spot. They've got a couple of injuries that are question marks. But
not even plays that you like, just some other games going on like Duke, Georgia Tech. I know that Duke, despite losing over the weekend, is in some people's brackets and out on others. But I do think Georgia Tech's pretty good.
I've been a big fan of this Georgia Tech team for most of the conference season.
Moses Wright, maybe one of the most underrated players in the country.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I'm not sure I want to lay 2 there, but, you know, Duke has not been great on the road.
No.
Yeah.
Well, the question is, do you think Duke actually was, I'd say, going on a serious run without Jalen Johnson? Because I know over the weekend I thought about giving out Duke minus 5.5 against Louisville and then taking North Carolina instead. And ended up taking Florida State instead. And Florida State ended up falling apart.
Pretty much doomed either way there, buddy.
Yeah. Well, how about what I told you? I said don't go against Syracuse and the Carrier.
Yeah, I know. I didn't believe it. Well, they hadn't been that good there this season, so
correct. But still, either way, North Carolina, I can't figure out. I gave up on that team. But anyway,
yep, as well I should have.
Duke was going on a good run, won 4 straight. But you go through the teams they played: NC State, Wake Forest, Virginia, and Virginia's. You know, they won by 1 at home. Virginia's been underwhelming lately.
Yeah,
Syracuse, who's not very good. So I decided not to take Duke because I looked at the schedule and realized, wait a second, these teams just aren't that good. And they ended up losing at home to Louisville. Georgia Tech, though, this team is – I can't really describe them. They're just sneaky. Nobody talks about them, but they're good. Yeah,
they don't. Well, they don't have any stars. They don't do any one thing just unbelievably well, but they do a lot of the little stuff well, and they're able to repeat it. They're a very consistent team. They're well coached.
I think Duke showed some serious problems against Louisville just because besides Matthew Hurt, but don't get me wrong, his jump shot is absolutely wet. He's got a phenomenal jumper. Who else can score on that team?
Wait, what did you say? Absolutely wet?
Yeah, his jumper.
What is that? Is that a good thing?
Yes.
Wet means good?
Yes.
Jesus Christ. Okay.
What? You got to go with the times, man.
What times? No, who says that?
2021. That's a saying.
That's who says that. People that are 20 or 21.
Something like that. Either way, he gets buckets. But the point I'm trying to say
He's
is,
wet. He's wet, man.
yeah, does who else does Duke really have? I'm not a fan of Goldwire. I think that you go down the line. Does Duke really have much of a supporting cast?
No, it's kind of a situation with Duke where you've just had, different guys step up at different times or not, and that's the other problem with this team. They've been my bugaboo. Every time I think that they're done, they end up having a great performance, and every time I start to climb on the Duke train, that's then they show me that I'm an idiot. So yeah, I mean, at times, you've had Wendell Moore step up. You've had Hurt. Certainly has been good, but
Mm-hmm.
without Jalen Johnson, I'm with you, dude. Although they ran off that winning streak right after he left, and they've still played good. They've still won 4 or 5 since Jalen Johnson left. So
I'm not fully writing off Duke. I'm just saying, grand scheme of things, this team really is going to go as far as Hurt takes them. I think you can agree with that because he's the only guy who can, I'd say, consistently give them 20 plus.
yeah,
That's basically it.
yeah, I agree. And it'll be interesting to see that how Georgia Tech does. They've been playing pretty good defense, so we'll see what happens with that Duke team. So, and you got to play there. What are you going to play?
Truth is, if I was going to play, I'd probably lay, but I'm just going to kind of wait it out and see. I expect more Georgia Tech money. I think you'll see late buyback on Duke, but I am kind of curious after the Duke bubble kind of bursted where everyone was expecting Duke to go on some massive run and everyone was backing them and they were a huge public, darling for the last, I'd say, week or two.
Right.
I'm curious how many completely jump ship.
And that's the Louisville game. Yeah, it'd be interesting to see. Anything else get your attention today?
I'm going to go out of my way to avoid watching the Wisconsin-Purdue game.
Good call. Good call there.
I'm assuming going to be painful to watch. I know the total's at 129 or so that tells you all you need to know about that game.
Would you rather watch paint dry or watch Tulsa, Central Florida?
I think I'd rather watch Tulsa, Central Florida.
It's close.
But I just like basketball. But Wisconsin, this team just hurts me. I got no words for that team. That team's just bad. And yet Lenardi's like, oh no, they're
thanks for bringing them up with no words.
Well, because they're a ranked. It's a ranked matchup.
That's a compelling video.
But all I know is that Wisconsin, according to Lenardi, is like a 5 or a 6. How? I don't see it.
I don't know.
Before they lost to Illinois, so Lenardi had them as a 5. I see this team being a 6 or a 7. That's just how I look at this team. Then again, I'm aware that overall there really aren't many Power 5 conference teams that just jump off the page and you go, well, that's clearly a 2 seed or a 3 seed. Like that just doesn't exist this year. But Wisconsin is not very good.
No, and every time they've had to step up in competition, they haven't done well.
Yep.
Take Vandy plus 12. Vandy's been a cover monster on the road in conference play.
I actually wrote an article about that game. Try to pay attention to the status of Vanderbilt's best 2 players.
Yeah.
Vanderbilt ended up beating Ole Miss, but Scottie Pippen Jr. might not play. And their star big man might not actually, their star big man's going to be out for the year because he had a stress fracture in his foot.
Yeah, so, and that's exactly why I laid off. So, yeah, keep an eye on that. But that's
Pippen's the questionable one with the hip injury, but that's something to monitor.
They've done a nice job this season. So,
yep.
All right. Well, and as always, if you're looking for more information on these games or any others, don't forget to stop by and check out winnersandwhiners.com. Deep dives into every game every single day. Appreciate you guys watching today, of course, for myself, for Scott Reichel, for all of us over here at Winners and Whiners. Hope every one of those tickets in your pocket turns into cash money back at the window. You guys stay tuned. We're going to be rocking the NBA show right after this one. So just relax and let that next video play. All right. You guys take care. Have a great day. And we will see you next time on Today in Sports Betting. Take care, everybody.